Most people don't realize, with all of everything going on in Gary's life, he's also a fellow at the Oxford Martin School. This gives you access to some of the most advanced, interesting people on the subject, which you describe in the book, on AI. Tell me your experience, both of you, going back and forth to Oxford, the exposure, dealing with these people. What have you learned from some of these people?
Yeah, I'm always willing to learn, especially from great minds like Nick Bostrom, for instance. So, Future of Humanity Institute is also part of, originally was a part of the Oxford Martin School, and we used every opportunity of visiting Oxford was made just to run some kind of workshops and to sort of share the information. And it's actually learning a lot because you know, in the informal atmosphere, people are willing to be more forthcoming with certain things that they have to not hide, but they don't want to say in public. And it was very, very useful for us, for our books, for our articles, because again, you couldn't find a better source of people that are at the cutting edge in many many departments of science.
But what is it about human nature, the informal aspect, that people could be more honest and bring out what you're talking about as opposed to being public? What is it?
No, it's one of the big problems in science is that it's the scientific research, as everything, depends on funding. Mm-hmm. And funding in the modern world, it's always a part of business plan. Business plan means you have milestones. If you have milestones, you cannot come up with a breakthrough technology. I hear it very often at business conferences while addressing these issues about us being risk averse and complacent. The question from from business people sounds like we'd be happy to support the disruptive technology, the breakthrough innovations, but we have to know how much it costs and how long it takes. And I'm saying, if you know how much it costs and how long it takes, it's obsolete. So, that's why the science, it depends, and even science in universities depends on this funding. They are just paralyzed by the milestones, because the whole concept of funding encourages people to do to be incremental. And also, another problem is that since we won't do a net risk, and we have very high standards for anything that is brand new. So we all understand that bringing a new drug to the market, radically new drug to the market, is virtually impossible. And pharmaceutical companies, they spend, I think, 2/3 of their budgets on advertising, because that's the way to make money. Because new drug means that you can run into problem if you fail 1 out of 1,000, and then you will be dealing with 1,000 lawyers that will just go after you. No matter if this drug can save millions of lives. And for instance, we heard at one of these workshops in Oxford from the man who ran the same lab, but Alexander Fleming came up with penicillin. Mm-hmm. And his story was simple. He said, today, penicillin will be killed at the first test, because roughly every 5th person will show an allergy, and that's let's forget about it. Mm-hmm. So that's what we learned with me, because when we talk to these people, you understand that there's so many difficulties, logistical difficulties in unleashing this phenomenal creativity that is available around. And for instance, one of the problems is in this interdisciplinary science, everything should be compartmentalized. And if you try to run this combined research, you cannot get funding, because it again has to be assigned very specific areas, and that's limit dramatically the scope of your research.
And one of the things in the book, not just at Oxford, but in their decrying the sort of lack of freedom or the ability to do this blue sky research, and there's just so many more stories in the book. But one was very personal, because we met. Many have heard of Watson, IBM's Project Watson, which played Jeopardy and is now being used for medical diagnosis and other things. Well, one of its creators, its main creator, actually. We met him, but we didn't meet him at IBM. We met him at the world's largest hedge fund, where he's now working with Bridgewater in Connecticut, because he left IBM to go work at a hedge fund, not because he wanted to do specific hedge fund algorithms, because they just let him do whatever he wanted. They are the ones, we need an edge, and we understand that our limitations. We're going to find some really smart person who's working on this. We think this is an exciting, interesting field, and we figure if we give you a lot of money, we'll get it back maybe someday. And that's exactly the way Bell Labs used to think, and Dow Chemicals, and all these others that were funding this sort of blue sky. Find the smartest people, give them a bunch of space and freedom, and we get the patents. And that created most of the world's largest technology companies that currently exist. And that is almost completely dead in the actual, those companies today. And that's why these guys are leaving. And they don't let rocket scientists play with rockets anymore. And so he wants to do blue sky, crazy AI stuff, and he went to a hedge fund instead of one of the world's largest tech companies. And that is kind of the Oxford people running into the same sort of thing. It's like, well, again, fill out your forms to show exactly what's going to happen in this. And it's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. He says, we're not going to give you any money.